movimiento.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Double Coverage, the premier NFL podcast from the Gin Sports Network. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Wednesday, the 28th of September. So happy to be joined with my two colleagues, my two counterparts. We got Musa and Smitty in the booth tonight. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Doing well. Thank you, John.
Of course. Good to hear you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight, all the viewers, all the listeners out there. Got a great show for you. Got a lot of games to talk about, got a lot of things to talk about, things to address, things to, divvy up, things of that nature. And I'm excited to do it. I guess let's just start with the Eagles. Let's talk about the Eagles. They claim the number one spot in the NFL in the power rankings. I guess let me ask you this, guys. What do you think? I'll start with Musa. How do you guys feel about the Eagles? Do you think they have the chance to, go the distance and have longevity going down the stretch into the season? We're only through week 3 now, going into week 4. Do they have what it takes to make it the distance, or are they all hype?
I'll start off with, I think for the most part, they are mostly hype. I do see them making the playoffs. I do not see them going very far in the playoffs.
Okay. Smitty, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's still early in the season here, and the Eagles are showing some good promise there on the offensive side. The addition of A.J. Brown has done a lot for Jalen Hurts, and his success has opened up the field immensely for him. So, and then, yeah, I mean, a team that's 3-0, just their defense has let up some points throughout this early season. So, not really. The last 2 games they've only let up 7 and 8. But regardless, their offense is looking good. They're looking like a better team than last year. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, looking at the Eagles, so I was chopping it up with Musa before the stream started, and I was talking about the Devontae Smith-Jalen Hurts duo, and it showed me a lot of the old Crimson Tide-esque-ness of these two individuals, what they were capable of doing playing for Nick Saban back in their college years, and I saw a lot of that. I saw that grit. I saw that tenacity between these two in their game against the Commanders, and it was something that I haven't really seen yet. And these guys have been playing together for a while now. You're looking back at least a season of playing together. So I don't know. I guess, is this something that we should have seen earlier, or is this something that maybe took a while to blossom into, given the different league? We're talking about the NFL compared to the NCAA, apples to oranges. Is this something that's a surprise, or is this something that we expected?
I think we can look at the Bengals with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and having that chemistry there and how it really suited them well. So I think it's kind of a similar situation there with the Eagles. So I don't think it's very much a surprise. I wasn't very much expecting it because I haven't been following the Eagles that closely, but yeah.
John, I'd say for the progression of Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith there from Alabama to the league, it's more of a surprise that Jalen Hurts, I'd say personally, is having the success he is and the progression he's has shown improvement there that can quarterback from year to year, right? I will attribute that to the added star wide receiver in A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith, on the other hand, he was a phenomenal player at Alabama. He had a lot of hopes coming into the league. He's very quick. He's an athletic kid. He runs great routes. So he's going to show out on most teams, really. And now that, the defense is more worried about the defense is now this year against the Eagles. They have to worry about 2 playmakers, and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Last year, there wasn't that ideology for this Eagles offense. Plus, you have another year of Jalen Hurts improving, not only in his knowledge of the game, but being more comfortable in the backfield. So I would say this is more of a surprise on Jalen Hurts' side of the story. But at the same time, though, both these guys are 5-star recruits, played at Alabama. This is, they aren't surprised. If you ask these guys, they'd tell you they're not surprised. They expected this. So I see this Eagles team playing well throughout the season, really, and potentially I think they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, playing like this, they're definitely going to make the playoffs. Just looking at some stats here, Jalen Hurts, 22 for 35, Passes for attempts, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 8 receptions, 169 yards, 21.1 yards per average play. 1 touchdown. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions, 85 yards, 17 yards average. 1 touchdown. Miles Sanders, 1 reception, -2 yards, -2 average, 0 TDs. Is the Eagles' running game in shambles? Are they going to be completely dependent on the pass game, or do they still have some faith in Miles Sanders? Musa, you go ahead.
I think their strength is their passing game. Like you said, with having AJ Brown, it gives another level of the defense needs to worry about. If they have only one star receiver, the defense can double team them, make sure they're covered. But when there's 2 receivers, they have to really worry about that. I think if they really want to have success in the playoffs, they do need to figure out their run game. And I think that would probably start with their offensive line.
Very well said, Smitty. What do you got on that take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna fret too much about their run game with a mobile quarterback. They'll figure it out. I mean, the offensive line is obviously a huge key to any offensive success there, especially when you're asking for time in the pocket to get the ball downfield. So, they haven't played the toughest teams yet this year. I mean, you played the Lions, and it was a close game there. Other 2 games are blowouts. They're showing promise on the offensive side, and we'll have to see if they keep trucking or if they'll sputter against a defensive-minded team.
It's going to be interesting to see. So, Musa, you got this kind of characteristic. It's called the DVOA ranking. You have one here for the Eagles. Can you explain that a little bit more, and can you talk a little bit more on why the Eagles are where they are using that dynamic?
So yeah, right now the Eagles are ranked 4th. So right now they have one of the toughest schedules going forward. They're ranked 30th out of 32 NFL teams. So only 2 teams have a stronger schedule than them. From the stat, you can definitely see that their offense is their strength because their offense is ranked 4th in the NFL. Their defense is also highly ranked at 6th in the NFL. They have had a pretty good showing as a defense besides that Lions game, but overall they look like they're doing pretty well. The toughest yet to come. So we'll see how a better team puts a challenge on them.
Exactly. They got some good teams to face going down the stretch. I'm going to do more research on this DVOA ranking too. This is something that really intrigues me as far as, you compare that to DVOA to power rankings. I'm sure there's some similarities there, but it seems like there's some differences as well. So I'm going to look into that a little bit more in the coming days. So look forward to that. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about some week 3 upsets. You got something there, Musa?
Yeah, I was just say power rankings. I feel like are more of their current team, and DVOA looks at the whole season as a whole.
Okay, I got you. That makes a lot more sense then. Moving on, week 3 upsets. Jaguars win against the Chargers. You got to bust it up Justin Herbert. That could explain that. Dolphins take over the Bills. That I'm still kind of taken back from that, but the Dolphins are no joke. And then the Colts against the Chiefs. That's probably one of the biggest anomalies I've seen in football in the foreseeable past. I guess if either guys had to pick one of those upsets, or either pick all of them, I don't care. Which one stands out the most to you as being the biggest upset out of all 3 of those? What's the biggest upset? Musa, you start.
I have to say the Bills. I was trying to see which team are going to give them the hardest chance, and I had a hard time giving them a loss this year. But I knew one random team would come through and give them that loss. I didn't expect it to be this early in the season. I didn't expect it to be from the Dolphins, so that's got to be fine for me.
Okay, Smitty, what do you got?
Well, I mean, the Bills, I'd say the Chiefs, just because the Chiefs are playing so bad. I mean, we're really talking about an upset here, and when we're talking about the NFL, anything can happen week in, week out. These are professional athletes. Miami's no joke. I mean, look, Bills had the ball for 40 minutes. Miami only had it for, I think it was 19. And that's a big discrepancy there. So, the Bills just had a tough day. And same with the Chiefs. I mean, both those teams, you expect the Bills and the Chiefs to have won in week 3 there. The Bills had a tougher matchup against the Dolphins, of course. So I would have to go with the Chiefs just because the Colts looked so abysmal in the first couple weeks, and the Chiefs just couldn't get anything going against them. So, yeah, definitely Chiefs for me. I saw that Chargers game, and I was like, the Jaguars are playing something different this year. They're showing up offensively. They got James Robinson back, so I saw that Jaguars game potentially playing out like it did. But gosh, the Chiefs was the surprise to me.
Yeah, I gotta give Smitty some credit here on the DCP right here, right now, because let's be honest, he in some chopping up, we were talking about some other stuff, talking about bets or whatnot or fantasy stuff. He's like, dude, he's like, I think the Jaguars can beat the Chargers this week. He's like, I truly believe the Jaguars can win. I'm like, I mean, that's a bold pick, but I mean, some crazier things happen, I would say, and it wound up coming to fruition in stylish fashion too. So it wasn't a close game, it wasn't a close contest, and they kicked the Chargers' ass, and that's just reality of the situation. But I was amazed by that. I was pretty surprised to see that kind of point spread between those two teams, especially seeing very minimal amounts of dominance from the Jaguars utilizing a lot of the same players that they've had, and just seeing them, go out there and dominate, play football, get the job done out there in the, on the gridiron. It's an
Yeah,
impressive performance.
they play the Eagles this week. It's at the Eagles there, so that's gonna be a good game to watch. We'll have to see what happens.
What's the take there, Smitty? You taking you riding the Jaguars against the Eagles, or feel a little bit more hesitant?
Spread 6.5. You know, I'm gonna have to ride with my Eagles. I gotta go with the Eagles there this weekend. I 5.5, win by 6.
All right.
Maybe play it safer, go 2.5 because you got potential juice there with the low spread already at 6.5. But I think the Eagles, it's going to be a testament to the defense this weekend. The defense is going to show whether or not if they are going to be a solid team this year.
100%. Let's move on from here, though. Let's talk about some more abysmal performances. And I think that might be the title of today's podcast, because I just saw a lot of bad football in week 3. I don't know about you guys, if it's worth overlooking, but I have 2 games in mind that stand out to me: 49ers and Broncos, and Cowboys and Giants. Honestly, both these teams are in shambles. There's a couple strong points, a lot of weak points when you talk about all 4 of these teams. Not only just the matchups, we're talking about just the individual teams. There's some strong suits. The Cowboys defense, I feel good about them. But as far as the offenses on all 4 of these teams, I don't know. I don't really feel good about it. And especially the Broncos. I got to put the Broncos under a microscope, especially what we expected Russell Wilson, the Broncos, to get accomplished thus far and haven't. Musa, tell me about these matchups. Tell me about these teams. What are you seeing that is surprising you? What are you seeing that is confirming your previous beliefs?
Coming into the season, I think we all saw the Broncos were gonna be that team. Like when Tom Brady went to the Buccaneers, they just dominated that game. Rams get Stafford and they dominated. We all thought Denver was going to be the next team to do that. So far, they have not shown up, and their offense has not been there. Currently, according to the DVOA, they're ranked 23rd for offense, and their strong suit right now is their defense. They're ranked 5th on defense right now for the Denver Broncos. So I think that's their strength. I see the Denver Broncos having a lot of upside once they figure out what's going on with Russ, what's going on with this offense. But if they can get this offense figured out, I can see them going well down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna have to depend. There's still a lot of time left. There's teams that could become late bloomers in the grand scheme of the NFL once things get down to the nitty gritty. But I haven't been impressed thus far. Smitty, what do you got?
About these abysmal games that transpired, mainly between the 49ers and the Broncos and Giants and Cowboys. I'll be honest, the real abysmal game was the 49ers and Broncos there. So excuse me. It just wow, that was just the most boring game I've ever watched. Couldn't really believe it. Jimmy G came in as an inspiration last week, led his team, looked good out there. But the curse that Russell Wilson holds over Jimmy G. I mean, Russell Wilson 3-1 against Jimmy G, and now he's 4-1 overall head to head. So Russell Wilson just a better quarterback at the end of the day there. And the Broncos are going to figure it out. The Broncos will figure it out. Nathaniel Hackett, geez, I don't know who hired that guy, but someone's got to look in the mirror. I don't know what his resume looked like, but hey, if Nathaniel Hackett can make it, maybe everyone else can. But for the Cowboys and the Giants, Daniel Jones is a problem for that Giants team. It's great to see Barkley back running around. Terrible to see Sterling Shepard get another torn ACL there at MetLife. That turf there is is really just damaging some players their knees. It's a fact. It's happened over and over again. But for the Cowboys, that's a heck of a story there for Cooper Rush. So as a former football player, I'm willing to say, hey, Cooper Rush, I hope you keep it going, man. He's playing well. He's leading that team. They're winning. They're not playing the toughest opponents, of course, but they're getting it done. He's getting it done for the team there, and the defense is showing up. If there's one thing about the Cowboys that the fans should look forward to is the status of Dak Prescott looks promising. He looks like he's healing. The surgery went well. He's throwing the football. He might return pretty soon here, and your defense is firing. So if I was looking at the schedule here, they're playing Washington, and that's at home. They should win this week. They should beat Washington simply off that their defense is better. So, but
to add on,
go ahead, Musa.
to add on to all three of these teams, besides the Giants, their strong suits are their defense. Fifth ranked defense for the Broncos, eighth ranked defense for the Dallas Cowboys, and the third ranked defense for the 49ers. So that is definitely the strong suits of this game, these three teams. So it's really about that offense and what the offense can get going.
Right. Yep. And what you said, Dallas, 49ers, and yeah. So if I had to rank those teams, gosh, I would have put the Cowboys over the Broncos right now until that offense starts doing something. But if Russell Wilson gets a little more comfortable with that offense, they got the playmakers. They got Javonte Williams. They got Cortland Sutton. They got Jerry Jeudy. And as you saw in the first game, they got a couple of tight ends on that team. There's like 4 of them. I think there's 5 of them. One guy's listed as a fullback. So many tight ends on that team. So the Broncos will figure it out. The 49ers, not so much. They play the Rams on Monday night. And, the one thing about that game is Shanahan has had Sean McVay's number. And I got the stat from a buddy of mine, so don't quote me, but he was telling me that Sean McVay hasn't beaten Shanahan. So that's an interesting one coming up on Monday. Musa, do you know anything about those facts there, or that statistic?
I do not. I have not seen that stat yet. I haven't looked into it too much.
I got that from a pal. So it could or could not be true. I think it is true though. That's about 6-0 against Sean McVay.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I just don't see how.
The 49ers also have the Green Bay's number in the playoffs, so I won't be shocked there. But like you said, I don't think the 49ers are going to get it together. I like the Denver Broncos. I like the weapons they have. So once I think they build that chemistry, they get settled in, I do like that team.
Yeah.
100%. Good stuff, boys. We'll be looking forward to all four of these teams going forward down the stretch. They got some big games coming up. So how are they going to perform? They're going to rise to the occasion, or are they going to crumble into dust? That's the question. Let's go back to talking about the Bills. So what the hell happened to the Bills? Is Tua and the Dolphins, are they that good? Do they have that many weapons? And the mighty, they always fall. The mighty will fall at some point. They will always come back to their senses. Obviously, Josh Allen is and the Bills are picked to be the Super Bowl champions. This was picked given the odds in the preseason futures. So I guess what do we have to say about the Bills? Do they have kryptonite? Did Tua and the Dolphins find that kryptonite? And what's going on here? Are they in shambles, or can they pick themselves up?
Let me just start here and say no. One of the main concerns for the Bills right now is that they've lost a couple players on the defensive end. You lost Micah Hyde for the season from some neck injury. They're down a couple players on the defensive side in that game. They controlled that game. Statistically, they should have won that game. They had 7 penalties for 52 yards. That's something. They had a fumble lost. But all in all, it just happened. It's just one of those games you lose. It's a good early game to lose for the Bills. As you saw, Ken Dorsey, the offense coordinator, was so pissed and irate, and it was great to see some passion. That early in the season out of a team and a coach. I mean, even Josh Allen, the team was devastated that they were pissed. I don't know who they play this upcoming week. I don't want to go off script here, but they might murder whoever they play. I don't know who they play, but they might murder them this week. Oh God, they play the Ravens this week.
Yes, they do. That's a hell of a game to come off of a loss to.
Yeah, let me redact that statement. They're not going to murder the Ravens, but regardless, the Bills just had that. It was just one of those games. Miami is decent, but the Bills just didn't really show up mentally.
All right, well said.
Yeah,
Musa, what do you got?
I think it's one of those games where the Bills are great start to the season, overconfident, came in probably cocky, were not prepared properly for that game. I think every team has one of those games. Like last year, the Lions almost beat the Rams. The Lions beat the Cardinals. And I think those are those random games where a team just overconfident, not prepared for the game, and they take one of those losses. I don't think it will affect the Bills too much. They do have a challenge against this Baltimore Ravens team, currently ranked number one in offense for the DVOA stat. So it'll be interesting to see how the Bills defense performs this week, and I think it'll be a shootout.
Yeah, I think it will be too, and it's gonna be a battle of the quarterbacks. Obviously, Lamar going against Josh Allen there, and it's gonna be a hell of a battle. Hopefully, the Bills can pick themselves up from the dust. Everyone knows I'm a Bills Mafia guy. I got a Josh Allen jersey. I wear it very proudly. Devastated in that Chiefs game last year. Still keeps me up at night. So hopefully, the boys in blue can get it done this year and this coming week against the Ravens. So we'll be looking forward
Is
to
the
it.
game home or away?
The game is at the Ravens. It's in Baltimore.
Oh man, I might give me the Ravens.
Oh,
And I want to say real quick that about the Eagles and Jags game. I want to redact what I said. I don't know because the Jaguars team that's an interesting team.
I'm surprised you're jumping ship on your Jaguars there, Smitty.
Hey man, week to week, it doesn't matter. That was last week.
All right. Hey, we'll see what happens. Moving on, let's talk about the last topic of the night. Let's talk about the Lions and their loss to the Vikings. Classic Lions loss. I mean, you couldn't have wrote it up any different. You couldn't have wrote it up, a storybook ending for the Lions in their average, how they usually lose games. I mean, that was pretty standard to me. You could kind of see the writing on the wall going down the stretch in that fourth quarter. So it was just one of those things. But Musa, I know you're a Lions fan. What are your takeaways?
Yeah.
What happened to the Lions in this game? Did we see this coming, or was it a surprise?
You see, here's the thing. I predicted they would lose this game. It's not a must-win game, but when they're up and they're controlling the game like they are, it's a must-win game at that point. Uh, I don't think this is any fault of the players. The players played really well. I think this is one of those games where it came down to coaching. For the most part, I've been all the way with Dan Campbell, liked his coaching, but this is the one game I can confidently say that we lost this game because of coaching and not because of talent. It's bad play calling there at the end. Does it make sense to go for a field goal on 4th and 4 when you're up a field goal? And then if they score a touchdown like they did, it's over either way. So even if they make that field goal, it was not a great call. But yeah, like Lions fashion, you're up, you have the ball back. I think the Lions aren't used to being in those winning situations, and they're still learning how to go forward and how to win games and close out games.
Yeah, well said. And real quick, Smitty, before I give you the floor, I didn't expect Dan Campbell to not go for that on that 4th and 4. I expected the Dan Campbell, the biting kneecaps, Dan Campbell, which I love. I love that entire mentality. I love it. And I think it's needed in Detroit for them to bring themselves up from the trenches. But you're not emulating that kneecap biting mentality if you're not going for it on 4th and 4 in the situation that you're in, like you just mentioned, Musa. It's just not a smart decision. You're almost better off missing that 4th and 4 and getting turnover on downs than you are getting that field goal. And we talked about this on the GCP, I believe, last week and the week before. Just the terrible decisions to go for field goals when you should go for it, and it's abysmal. You can't write it up any different. Smitty, what do you got? What's your takes on this game?
I mean, the +6 was a lock of the week, probably. Really, I mean, the Lions should have won the game, quite frankly. But the thing, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised because you saw in week 2 that the offense played really well, but then they started sputtering, and they started going 3 now and not getting anything going, and then they start letting the other team kind of rally a little bit. That's the same thing that happened against the Vikings. We were up by 10 points, and the offense just couldn't get it going. And so, realistically, the 4th and 4, yeah. I mean, kicking the field goal was just idiotic. Just doesn't make sense. And Campbell, he knew it, and that's the worst part. And as a coach in his position, that's just a learning curve. Hoorah! It happened again. Another like the Bills, man. Early week loss. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown limping around the field. Swift limping around the field. Tracy Walker injured. It just is it was a tough week for a Lions fan to see all that happening, to see the coaches just lack of really what he's been backing. If anything, punt. Don't kick a field goal. It did nothing. It would have done nothing in a scenario like Musa mentioned. All in all, the point was it was off. So tough loss for sure. There's some things to worry about. I mean, look, let's be honest. All we really want from the Lions this year, I think everyone's going to kind of get ahead of themselves. We don't want the Lions. I mean, they're not. Everyone's like, oh, maybe playoff Lions, Super Bowl Lions, something crazy. No, we just want the Lions to show improvement right now. This year and next year, keep adding the pieces like they did in the draft. We're happy right now. I mean, we're winning some games, yes, but all in all, we're progressing towards the right direction. It's a good look, and Jared Goff is showing up this year, which is good to see.
Yes, it is, and he has to command that offense if they want to do well and work in cohesion with Dan Campbell and the rest of the coaching staff. They want to win games, and you got to obviously have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and some others very healthy. You're going to need them to get recouped this week, DeAndre Swift included. They're going to have to get recouped. They are the backbone of that offense, and they work together great with Jared Goff. So they're going to have to get healthy if they want to win more games. So we'll see what happens there. Let's move on to the rapid fire round of tonight. We'll talk about 4 games. We're going to take a pick one way or the other. I'll start with Musa on every one of these picks. Then I'll go, and then I'll have Smitty go. And just take a pick. Give a couple words about it if you want to. You don't even have to pick the game if you don't want to. Some of them could be trap games. Your call. So let's start off with the Thursday night football matchup between the Dolphins and the Bengals. Cincinnati -4, over under 47. Musa, who you got?
I got the Bengals. Bounce back game. They haven't performed like people expect coming off that Super Bowl. So I think the Bengals will bounce back this week and they'll get that win.
All right. I'm looking at this one almost as a trap game. Looking at how the Dolphins played and performed against the Bills, I'm probably not going to touch that spread. I'm probably not going to touch one way or the other. Money line, nothing. But I think it's going to be a dogfight, and give me the under 47 in that game. Smitty, what do you got?
Barring with my answers here, any answer I give, barring injury, because it's Wednesday, we have no idea what's going to happen. Barring injuries here, I'm going to take the Dolphins. I would take them, alternative spread probably to 7.5, and even maybe take a money line there, or even take them at 10.5. If you really want to get comfortable with it. The Bengals really haven't showed me much. I mean, they beat up on a lousy Jets team with Joe Flacco there. But all in all, I mean, maybe the Bengals are going to show up Thursday night. But I like the Dolphins here with Edmonds, Waddle. As long as Tua's playing, you got Tyreek there. I like this Dolphins team, so give me the points.
All right. Good stuff. Some good analysis there. Next up, Bills at Ravens. Buffalo -3, over under 51. Musa, what do you got?
I got the Bills. Bounce back game. I think they're still a great team, and they're going to be ready. They're going to be prepping harder than ever, especially coming off that loss. I think they even win this past week. They're still beating the Ravens, but they have even more reason to win now. They're going to have that motivation, that mindset to really go in there and put a good showing on a good team and really solidify that they are the Super Bowl favorites.
100%. I also like the under in this one, under 51. And just give me Buffalo money line, because I think it could be a dogfight of a game that could be a field goal deciding game. So I don't want to push. I'm just going to take, if I could do a same game parlay, I'll do Buffalo money line and under 51. Smitty, what do you got in this game?
Give me the over and the Ravens money line or spread.
He's going completely against the boy. Bold pick there, Smitty.
All 3 of them. I mean, that's what I'm leaning. I don't know how I'd place in the parlay, but that's where I'd lean.
Okay, all right, I like it. Moving on, let's take a look at the Chiefs at the Bucks. Kansas City -1. Interesting spread there. Kansas City -1. Whenever you see -1 or -1.5, which we'll see in the next game, it's an interesting game. The bookies are kind of thrown for a loop in that one. Kansas City -1, over under 45. Musa, what do you got here?
I have the Bucks this game. Chiefs have not impressed me so far. They barely won against that Chargers team, and I haven't seen anything out of the Chiefs yet that makes me want to take them and makes me want to pick them. So I'm going to go with the Bucks on this one.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, how certain teams you react after a loss. Look at a tough loss, from the Bucks against the Packers last week. Obviously, that was a somewhat of a trap game. Could have went either way. Got two veteran quarterbacks, two grandfathers in the pocket, and it could have went either way. It was a low scoring game, and we saw the writing on the wall mid through that game. But I think the Bucks are going to react positively to that loss, and I think they're going to come back and cover. And just give me Bucks money line. No need to really take the minus or +1 there. And I think this is going to be a dogfight. So give me over 45 in this one. Smitty, go for it.
Yeah, barring injuries, man. I mean, you got Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, Russell Gage, Rashad Perryman. I mean, all those guys are wide receivers. Obviously, they had Cole Beasley. Mike Evans going to be back. I mean, it's hard to go against Tom Brady, especially when Kansas City doesn't have a place kicker. Harrison Butker is questionable. So again, barring injuries, but I think I'm got to go with the Buccaneers here.
Okay, all right, yeah, definitely barring injuries. Anything can happen between. Look at the day. Look at the calendar. It's Wednesday. Anything can happen. Anyone can go from questionable to out to to back in. They can be questionable 30 minutes before the game starts, and that really
Mm-hmm.
throws a loop for people that have fantasy teams, right?
Well,
Um,
yeah.
but it's something we got to prepare for, and we got to be ready
I
for
mean,
it. Got to be
Come Friday and Saturday, it's pretty conclusive if people. I mean, most of the time they're not really going to hide it unless it's like Justin Herbert was game time decision. But that stuff for these players, like it's going to be a topic of discussion for ESPN come Saturday, Sunday. What is the wide receiver count core going to look like for Tom Brady against the Chiefs tonight? Type of stuff.
100%. Last game on the docket. Musa's got the Rams jersey on. Let's look at the Rams against the 49ers. San Francisco -1.5, over under 42. Musa, what do you got here?
I mean, I'm wearing the Rams jersey. Rams all the way. Not the best start to the season for the Rams, I'll say that. Started off slow, but I think they'll bounce back. Nothing in the 49ers have impressed me so far. They do have that good defense, but I think they're going to show up and they're going to show that the 49ers defense is kind of overrated right now.
Yeah, 100%. I'm kind of surprised by this spread, to be honest with you. -1.5, abysmal performance this past weekend, going against the Broncos there. And I don't feel good about it. So give me the Rams money line, and I like the over too, over 42, and I think that's a no-brainer. Smitty, what do you got here?
My God, this game smells like one of those games where everyone's like, "What the hell did we just watch?" A classic Matthew Stafford throwing 2 interceptions. Give me the 49ers. Give me the under.
Oh my gosh, look at this guy.
Somehow, Jimmy
This
G's gonna come
guy.
out Monday night and figure it out. And
And
Matthew
still hit the
Stafford,
under? And still hit
dude.
the under.
The
42.
thing here is there's 2 solid defenses here. Yeah, 42 is like you're asking. I mean, look, the under might not hit, but give me the 49ers in this game.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. I can't doubt Smitty. He was right about the I guess he didn't really call the blowout with the Jaguars going
No
against
one said
the
blowout.
Chargers there. But I mean, he did call that one, so he might have
It
something up
wasn't
his
that
sleeve.
magical of a pick. Justin Herbert was definitely limited. It wasn't that magical.
Yeah,
But
I guess you're right. I mean, don't undermine it. Don't undermine the compliment. Take them while you get them. So
I appreciate it.
of course. All right, guys,
Hopefully,
that
I'll
brings
be
us to
right.
the end. What do you got?
I said, hopefully, we can all be right, except me and
Yeah.
Musa are going against each other, so it's not
Oh
possible.
man, I think we're all going against each other. This is gonna be
Yeah,
a
I
hell
think
of a
so.
matchup between all of us here. So I'm
We have to keep the record.
well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things. Yeah, I'll keep the record. I'll go back to the tapes. We'll go watch some film. Come this Sunday night. Come Monday evening. Tuesday morning, we'll go back to the film and see where we're at, and we'll bring a record up and we'll have a conversation about it.
Yeah, and I'll bring the injury report. If I have any teams that lose, I'll bring the injury report with me, and I'm sure there'll be someone on there.
All right, we'll be looking forward to it. Good deal, guys. All right, that brings us to the end of our podcast tonight. This is the time where I invite the participants, the analysts. Give me your last words going into the weekend. Tell me what your final thoughts are. Recaps of the podcast. What do you want to tell the people before we sign off today? Musa, you go first.
I think keep an eye on the Broncos team. I think they have some good weapons coming forward, so I'm keeping an eye on them. I think the Lions this week is a must-win week for them, so that will be an interesting game. Potential Bengals bounce back game as well, and think the Rams are going to show up this week.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. Smitty, what do you got? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. It should be a heck of a NFL weekend. Once again for week 4 here with these matchups. It should be a good weekend. So looking forward to it. Love the football, man. Can't
100%. Me too, man. This is the proving grounds week. This is where you bounce back. The teams that got upset, the teams that were expected to finish at the top of their divisions, took it on the chin. Possibly, you're looking at the Eagles first in the league overall. How are they going to fare against their tough schedule coming up? A lot of determining factors ahead of us. So, a lot of things to look forward to. That brings us to the end, guys. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Gin Promotions and ginpros. ginpros on Twitter and Gin Promotions on IG. My fault. Gin Sports Network on IG. Go to our website, ginsportsnetwork.com, for all the updated content that we provide. All of our podcasts are on there, all of the stuff, all the posts, all the IG posts, articles, things of that nature. Be sure to give it a shout. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Double Coverage Podcast. I'll let you guys go. Until next time, I'm your host, as always, John J. II. Have a great night.